Rashida.
Hey.
I haven't seen you in years.
I have not.
Good to see you.
You as well.
This is an awkward one for me.
No husband really wants to call this type of meeting because it's incredibly awkward to kind of be in this position.
I be kind of wanting to figure out a communication, it's a lot of stuff.
But it's the same stuff as before. Do you realize you didn't even attend Cannon's last birthday because where were you at?
That's the same party that I helped pay for and pay for the gifts, correct?
When we was in mediation, do you even remember what we agreed on? Yeah, you don't know because you don't.
I do know, I'm not.
So the agreement was that you get Cannon the third weekend of every month. Do you do that?
No, we didn't really agree to that because the last time...
It's signed on paper.
This is what I just want to say. It's not gonna ever be exactly what you want it to be. But one thing you ain't gonna never, ever, ever have to question or worry about.
The premiere of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta Season 13 kicked off with a huge moment that fans had been waiting for, a heated confrontation between Rasheeda Frost and Jasmine. This was the climax of a long-standing tension between the two women which had been building for years. Rasheeda, a central figure in the show, had kept her cool for as long as possible, despite the constant interference of Jasmine in her marriage to her husband, Kirk Frost. But when the time came, Rasheeda was done holding back and finally decided to take matters into her own hands. Throughout the series, Rasheeda and Kirk's relationship had been a major storyline. While their bond had faced its challenges, the ongoing presence of Jasmine and her attempts to come between them only intensified the drama. Jasmine had repeatedly tried to re-enter Kirk's life, creating friction in Rasheeda's marriage. Even after her past actions caused a significant strain, Jasmine didn't back off. Her persistence continued into the start of Season 13, where she made yet another attempt to rekindle her relationship with Kirk. This was despite the damage it had already caused to Rasheeda and Kirk's union. Jasmine's refusal to step away wasn't just annoying, it was an attack on everything Rasheeda had worked for. It threatened her family, her life, and all the accomplishments she had built with Kirk over the years. For a long time, Rasheeda had chosen to stay above the drama. She focused on her businesses, her children, and her marriage, trying to navigate the difficult waters with grace. She had endured countless challenges, but she had always tried to keep the peace. Still, there was only so much a person can take. The constant disrespect from Jasmine wore Rasheeda down, and as time passed, it became clear that Jasmine wasn't going to stop. Rasheeda's patience had reached its limit. Rasheeda had always been strong, but she wasn't going to sit back anymore. The situation had gotten out of hand, and she knew she had to address it head-on. She wasn't willing to be passive while Jasmine continued to try and tear apart her family. This was a turning point for Rasheeda. She made the decision to confront Jasmine in a way that no one expected. The time for silence was over. Rasheeda was going to take control of her story and put an end to the chaos Jasmine had caused. When the two women finally came face to face, the tension was obvious. The confrontation wasn't just about a disagreement, it was the culmination of years of frustration. Rasheeda, who had tried so hard to maintain her composure, was done being the bigger person. She was tired of Jasmine's attempts to wreck her family, and she wasn't going to tolerate it any longer. Rasheeda called Jasmine out on her repeated attempts to come between her and Kirk, making it clear that enough was enough. Jasmine, as always, tried to defend herself, but Rasheeda wasn't hearing any of it. She wasn't interested in excuses or apologies at that point. The words Rasheeda spoke were sharp and filled with emotion. She wasn't going to let Jasmine continue manipulating the situation. This wasn't just about Kirk anymore. This was Rasheeda taking back control of her life, showing Jasmine that she couldn't just walk over her and disrupt her peace. The confrontation quickly grew heated. Both women exchanged fiery words, emotions running high. But as the argument escalated, it became clear that this wasn't just a clash between two women. This was about Rasheeda asserting her power, taking control of her life, and no longer allowing anyone to dictate the course of her story. For years, Rasheeda had been the one to keep the peace, to rise above the drama. But this time, she wasn't going to let Jasmine or anyone control her anymore. As the confrontation raged on, Rasheeda became more resolute. She wasn't just standing up for her marriage, she was standing up for herself. She had spent years building her businesses, raising her family, and focusing on her personal growth. She wasn't about to let anyone, not even Jasmine, take that away from her. This wasn't just about protecting her marriage to Kirk, this was about Rasheeda asserting her identity and showing everyone that she would no longer allow anyone to walk over her. For the first time in a long while, Rasheeda was unapologetically standing up for herself. She wasn't afraid to let her emotions out and make it clear that she would no longer tolerate Jasmine's interference. The moment marked a shift for Rasheeda, a moment where she took control of her narrative, decided her own fate, and refused to let anyone take away the life she had worked so hard to build. This confrontation was more than just drama, it was a powerful statement that Rashida wasn't going to back down anymore. Rashida's strength and determination were on full display in that moment. She wasn't just standing up to Jasmine, she was standing up for everything she had worked for, everything she had fought to build. As the confrontation between them reached its peak, it became clear that Rashida had the upper hand. She had taken control of her own story, sending a clear message to Jasmine that no matter how hard she tried, Rashida's family was not going to fall apart. While this might not have ended the tension between Rashida and Jasmine, it was a major turning point. Rashida had shown that she would not let anyone, not even Jasmine, tear apart her life and her peace of mind. She had reclaimed control of the situation, regaining not only her strength but also her dignity. In that moment, she demonstrated to the world just how powerful, resilient, and unapologetically strong she truly was. As the episode ended, viewers were left wondering what the future held for Rashida, Kirk, and Jasmine. But one thing was clear, Rashida had made it clear that no matter how manipulative or relentless anyone could be, they would never take what mattered most to her. She had taken control, and the message was loud and clear: if you mess with Rasheeda Frost, be prepared for a serious challenge. However, things took a darker turn with Kirk. Instead of owning up to his mistakes, he seemed determined to paint himself as the victim. Instead of admitting that he had messed up again, he started telling anyone who would listen that he had been unhappy in his marriage for a long time, and that his affair with Jasmine was his way of escaping the issues he had been facing at home with Rashida. Just days later, Kirk separated from Rashida, and sources revealed that he even reached out to his lawyers for advice on how to proceed with a divorce. In my opinion, Rashida may have inadvertently allowed Kirk's mistreatment to continue by choosing to stay instead of walking away. She had the option to leave, but she didn't. Instead, she publicly stated her commitment to keeping her family intact, making it clear to Kirk that she wasn't going anywhere. In an interview with Essence, Rashida explained, "A lot of times, people who speak on that could never wear my shoes. A lot of women haven't even been in a relationship for 5 minutes, let alone 20 years. So, you can't speak about the decisions that I make. At the end of the day, it's my life, and I never let anybody's opinion sway me in any direction. All I did was pray and follow my heart. And if nobody likes it, don't follow me and don't leave any comments on my Instagram. Something you deal with might be something I wouldn't deal with, but it's not for me to tell you what to do." Rashida's decision to stay with Kirk was also driven by the transformation she had seen in him. She stated that one reason their marriage had lasted was because Kirk had made a complete turnaround. "I went through a really deep, dark period with it, and it wasn't easy. It took being hospitalized for Kirk to realize that he needed me back in his life," she said. However, Rashida's decision to stand by Kirk didn't sit well with Jasmine. Jasmine was furious, telling anyone who would listen about what Kirk had done to her. Inside sources revealed that Kirk had already discussed the possibility of marrying Jasmine once his divorce from Rashida was finalized, which left Jasmine heartbroken when he asked Rashida to come back to him. As the saying goes, you lose them the way you gain them. Let's not forget, this is Kirk we're talking about. He knows exactly how to manipulate both Rashida and Jasmine. While we may wish Kirk a speedy recovery, one thing is clear: the drama between Jasmine and Rashida is far from over. Fans have been buzzing, especially since Kirk requested Rashida's presence by his side after the doctor informed him that he might not make it. Fans have been leaving comments saying they don't understand why Jasmine keeps acting innocent while throwing shade at Rashida. "Having a baby by a married man comes with consequences," one fan pointed out. Jasmine knew Kirk was married, and expecting him to take responsibility for something he was allowed to do is one of those consequences. Many people believe Rashida deserves better than Kirk. If Kirk passes away, Rashida would have to live without him, and some fans think she should move on. One commenter said, "Girl, kick the dead weight to the curb. Who needs that kind of disrespectful man? Take charge of your happiness. It's not with Kirk. Love yourself and move on from him. You're too beautiful to be dragged down." Fans also pointed out the pattern in Kirk's behavior. "Kirk is with Rashida when he's sober and with Jasmine when he's drunk," one fan remarked. These comments reflect the belief that Rashida should no longer be burdened by Kirk's actions. She deserves someone who respects her and treats her with the love and care she deserves. So, do you think Rashida should forgive Kirk for everything he's done to her and stay by his side while he's in the hospital? Or do you think she has no business being there since he chose to be with Jasmine over her in the first place? Let me know what you think in the comments below.